500-pound wheel module fabrication. This is the jig to put the main axle on. We always put the laser burn to the outside so that when we assemble the parts together, they are flat edges and will be as straight as possible. Here we go.
So we're going to push this up in tight, butt the axle in. We're going to hold this tight, the thumb up here.
Do we know the length of the axle?
Not offhand. You got me with a good question.
We'll get it.
Okay. So it should be on the box in the cabinet.
Okay.
Hold the axle tight, hold this tight, and get this in from the edges. We don't want to overlap the edges, just like on the trolleys.
Yep, because the bearing has to go and touch that plate.
As soon as this feels like it's cool, flip it over and get your other 2 tacks.
Then we slap all the 3 parts together with the laser cuts to the outside, and we clamp it in place for welding. Go ahead.
Okay, so when we're straightening these out, I like to make sure that we're flush with the piece and split the gap with the laser hole. That'll let you know if you're straight. You can put a square on that as well, but most of the time by eye is okay. So right now, when I put it up, see how you can see a little bit of a gap with the light right there?
Yep.
So if I pinch the 2 pieces together, when I tap the bottom over, they move together and I can close that gap just like that. And then that's a 90 now. So now I'm going to tighten this pretty good. And I'm going to check and make sure, okay, I got a good 90. Now that I've got that tight, now I'm going to check really quick to make sure it's square. And it's actually off a little bit. So I'm going to have to loosen it a tiny bit. Getting these set at first sometimes can be a little testy, but you want to make sure they're straight, so take your time. Fuck. Okay, so I'm still straight there. I'm straight there. Now that I'm tightening it, I have to double check before I start to weld. So I'm flat, there's no gap.
Yep.
And now I'm flat, there's no gap. So that is how you set up that. Now we're gonna do 1 weld from the outside edge to the middle. Wait about 5 to 10 minutes for that to cool. Another weld on the opposite side from the outside edge to the middle. Then we're gonna flip around in a few more minutes and do the finish of this weld. Wait again, finish this weld. Then we'll rotate the vise over and we'll do the same thing that we just did to square out this piece before we start doing alternating welds.
Okay. After both sides have been straightened and welded in quarters, then we weld the axle in place so it's nice and hot. Then we move over and weld the pins in place. Welding the pins in. For crimping the wheels, we use this as a support so it doesn't.
So you don't, when you're swedging these axles, you're not bending the wheel module that we took the time to make sure was straight.
Perfect.
So just throw that in there and then you can swedge these axles. You do these ones first, then these after with this in there, and then you're done.
All right. This will be blue with some markings on it.
And washers always go under.
Yes.
These ones right here.
No washer means big trouble.
Okay.